So I want to pause just a moment and give us a chance to fully take in what we heard. This wasn't just a roster of names. These are people, humans, sisters, daughters, nieces, aunts, women and girls who have never been given the recognition and respect they deserve. These are stories that need to be told. And as a nation, we have, as we've heard today, generally done a poor job of telling these stories, or frankly, of even acknowledging that these stories are worthy of being told. And as we all know, these names represent only a fraction of the names of Black women and girls who have gone missing or have been murdered in our country. There are so many more whose names deserve to be read and whose stories deserve to be told. But this recitation, even though it leaves out so many, should serve as a call to action by reminding us that there is still so much left to do. I want to thank everyone here for the incredible work that you're doing to elevate this issue and address this crisis. To our Alyssa, Laura, Melissa, and Simone for using your platforms to lift up these stories. To Natalie for the amazing organization that you co-founded that gives hope to so many. We thank you for your tireless work to bring awareness to this issue, even before the full scope of the problem was understood or recognized. You have all continued the drumbeat so that there will be no forgetting. To Lakeisha, Derek, and Tanisha for your courage and for turning unspeakable loss into such powerful advocacy that reaches across the country and has touched all of us here today. To the state leaders for being out front on this issue, for showing us where we need to go and demonstrating your pathway to change. And to our federal partners who understand the urgency and who are bringing their commitment and their resources to bear in trying to find solutions. And to everyone who's taken time to be here with us today, I know it's been a full and heavy morning and early afternoon, including members of the media who are covering this meeting during an exceptionally busy news cycle. We are grateful to all of you for being a part of this conversation. You just heard from my distinguished colleagues across the federal government about the work they're doing and the work we're doing and the investments we're making together. And hopefully you can see that there are dedicated public servants working hard day in, day out to find justice for missing and murdered Black women and girls and to prevent more women and girls from experiencing the same. But it must be said that what we're doing and what we've been doing as a nation and as a federal government has not been sufficient. We have not done nearly enough to appreciate the disproportionate impact that violence has on Black women and girls, and our resources haven't been adequate to address this epidemic. You've heard the statistics. More than a third of women and girls who go missing are Black, well above their percentage of the general population. And Black women experience the highest rates of homicide of any racial or ethnic group. It's truly a crisis. We know that Black women and girls are not the only ones to be impacted by violence, and women and girls from all communities, Indigenous women in particular, also need our attention, our support, and our resources. This isn't and shouldn't be a zero-sum issue. We can and we must address gender-based violence writ large, while also acknowledging the vulnerability and disproportionality experienced by specific communities. Our conversation today will not bring an immediate solution to this significant problem, but I do hope that it's a step in the direction of a solution. We've talked about the advocacy of so many of you and others across the country that you all have engaged in. We've discussed resources and strategies from the state and federal levels to tackle this challenge, and we've listened to powerful stories, first and foremost, who have rooted us in this conversation today, from families who have experienced trauma and injustice and who have had the courage to speak out and call our nation's attention to this issue. What we're seeing, I hope, is a groundswell of attention and action, led by dedicated, resourceful, and vocal champions working on behalf of those whose voices have been silenced for far too long. A lot has changed in the past couple of weeks. We've heard that referenced a couple of times today, and more is sure to come. But in this period of relative uncertainty, being here in this room today with all of you brings me hope. I'm so glad that so many of our colleagues from OJP and from across the federal government were able to participate and learn from you and your efforts. Before I conclude, I would be absolutely remiss not to thank Linda Seabrook for her vision and for her efforts. And please know, alongside Linda, you have many champions across the department recognizing the critical importance of this issue. Thank you all for your time today and for the important work you're doing in your communities and across the nation. Thanks, everybody.